Assalamu alaikum students. I am Dr. Iram Imran, Professor and Head of Department Physiology at FRPMC. My email address is drerumimran@gmail.com. Today is the first lecture of neurophysiology, that is the functional organization of the nervous system. Now let's see its learning objectives. Now, at the end of the lecture, you should be able to discuss the organization of nervous system and its division into central and peripheral nervous system, discuss neuron and the functional classification of neurons, discuss different type of glial cells in central and peripheral nervous system with their functions. Okay, there are two major regulatory systems of the body which regulate different body functions. Means the body functions, they are regulated by two main regulatory systems. One is the nervous system and other is the endocrine system. Both of these, they are considered as the regulatory system of the body because they are regulating functions in the body. Okay, now let's see the division of the nervous system. The nervous system is divided into central and the peripheral nervous system. So the central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. All other structures, they are included in the peripheral nervous system. Brain and spinal cord is the central nervous system. The other structures, they are the peripheral nervous system, which is broadly divided into sensory pathways and the motor pathways. These sensory pathways, they take the sensations towards the central nervous system, means towards the brain and spinal cord. This brain and spinal cord then do the integration, and then the desired response is carried via these motor pathways, which are divided into somatic and autonomic. This somatic is the voluntary nervous system. It's under voluntary control and it supplies to the voluntary muscles, that is the skeletal muscles. And the motor pathways, which are going towards the cardiac muscle, the smooth muscles and the gland, is involuntary in action, and this is known as autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is further divided into sympathetic, parasympathetic and enteric nervous system. The nervous system of the GIT is known as the enteric nervous system. This you will study in detail. So autonomic nervous system is divided into sympathetic, parasympathetic and enteric nervous system. Okay, so now the central nervous system. As I told you, the central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. So this here in the red, this is the brain and the spinal cord, and this is actually the part of the central nervous system. Now it is receiving the information about the external and internal environment through the afferent neurons. These afferent neurons, they take the sensations from external or internal environment of the body, and then it gives signals to the CNS, that is the brain or the spinal cord. Now this brain and the spinal cord, then it processes it via interneurons, and then this initiates the directions in the efferent neurons, and which carry the instructions to different parts of the body. Through its efferent division, now the peripheral nervous system, through its efferent division, it may be either somatic or it may be either autonomic. If it is somatic, it will go to the skeletal muscles and initiate muscle contractions. If it is through the autonomic, it goes to different viscerals of the body, like different smooth muscles, different glands, and also the cardiac muscle, and then it controls the functions of, you can see here, it can functions either the smooth muscles contraction, cardiac muscle contractions, or the secretions in the glands. Peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system consists of all the nervous tissue which is outside the CNS, which is other than brain and spinal cord. Okay, so it includes cranial nerves and its branches, spinal nerves and their branches, the ganglia, The ganglia is actually the collection of neuronal cell bodies outside the CNS. Okay, and the sensory receptors, they all are included in the peripheral nervous system because they are not the part actually of the brain and spinal cord. And here the peripheral nervous system, as I told you, it is divided into somatic and autonomic. The nervous system which is supplying to the skeletal muscle is known as the somatic nervous system, and it is voluntary in action. And the nervous system which is supplying to the glands, smooth muscles and cardiac muscle is known as autonomic nervous system, which is divided into sympathetic, parasympathetic and enteric nervous system. Now, the functionally how we divide the nervous system. Functionally, the central nervous system is actually divided into three levels. The spinal cord level. This is actually the spinal cord level is a simple one, and it transfers the information to and from the brain. Okay, it means that it is taking the information towards the brain and also from the brain. So it basically controls reflexes, as we will see that spinal cord is mainly responsible for controlling various reflexes. Then is the lower brain level. First, we will discuss the higher brain level, that is the cerebral cortex. This upper part is the cerebral cortex, you will study in detail, which controls all the voluntary movements, memory, higher intellectual function, thought process, planning. This is whole the function of higher brain level, which is known as cerebral cortex. This is the spinal cord level, which controls the reflexes and all the ascending and descending pathways they are traveling in the spinal cord. Means the sensations they are carried towards the brain via spinal cord, and then the motor command that reaches the periphery via spinal cord. Okay, from the brain. So the third area is the middle area, that is known as the lower brain area. This lower brain area includes all other structures, like what is left is brainstem, limbic structures, which is in main part is the hypothalamus, then is the thalamus, cerebellum, basal ganglia. They are all included in the lower brain level, and they actually perform vast variety of functions like regulate different type of visceral activities. It also performs some subconscious functions, blood pressure, thirst, respiration, hunger, sleep, body temperature. These collectively they are known as the vegetative functions. We will discuss in detail. So these are the functions of the lower brain level. The spinal cord level mainly control the reflexes, and higher brain level is our voluntary control of the movements, memory, planning, thought, intellectual functions. So this is the functional division that we have divided functionally the brain and spinal cord into three basic levels. The first is the spinal cord level, then is the higher cortical level or the higher brain level, and then is the lower brain level. So without this higher brain level, the functions of lower brain centers are often imprecise. They become abnormal. So the upper higher brain level is very much important for the normal functioning of the lower brain level. Now the cells of the nervous system. There are two types of cells present in the nervous system. One is a neuron and other is the neuroglial cells or neuroglia. Okay. Now the neuron. Neuron is the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Okay. Now these neurons, they are the excitable cells of the body. As you all know that there are two types of excitable cells in the body. One is a neuron and other is a muscle cell. So neuron is the excitable cells. And what is the excitable cell? The cell which can generate action potential or which can generate electrical signals. Means it can show graded potential as well as action potential. So neurons, they are the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system and capable of conducting electrical signals. They are contained, our nervous system consists of about more than 100 billion neurons. Incoming signals, now this is a structure of the typical neuron. You can see here, this is the soma or the cell body. These are the dendrites and this is the axon. Now the incoming signals enter the neuron via dendrites or the cell body. The incoming signals, they enter this neuron via dendrites or via cell body, and output signal, they travel by the way of axon and they leave the neuron. Input comes via dendrites and soma, and output signal travels by the way of axon. Okay, the functional classification of neurons. Functionally, the neurons, they are divided into afferent, efferent and interneurons. So you can see this neuron, which is taking the information from the conditions in the external and internal environment via receptors. Then this afferent neuron, which is also known as the sensory neuron, because it takes the sensations both from external and internal environment and take it towards the central nervous system, that is towards the brain and the spinal cord. So this is a sensory neuron or the afferent neuron. You can see this is the cell body of that neuron, and this information is being carried by this neuron towards the CNS. So the other neuron is the efferent neuron or the motor neuron, and the third neuron is the interneuron. So the sensations, they are carried via afferent neuron towards the brain or the spinal cord, where they synapse with the another set of neuron which is known as the interneuron. Now these interneurons, they are present in the central nervous system, means in the brain or in the spinal cord, and they are responsible for integrating the afferent information. The information which is coming via afferent neuron, it goes to the interneuron which integrates the response, and then it formulates an efferent response. It gives the response to the efferent neuron which carries the information towards the effector organ. Okay, so this interneuron is performing the function of processing or integrating, and then the signal goes to the motor neuron. Now this is the cell body of the motor neuron. You can see how it is connected through the interneuron with the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron is making a synapse with the interneuron, and then the other end of the interneuron making a synapse with the efferent neuron, and then the efferent neuron takes the information and then it carried towards the effector organ. For example, if it is a muscle, it is going to the muscle, it causes muscle contraction. If it is going to the gland, it will cause the secretions. So this is how the functional division of a neuron is, that it is divided into afferent, which is a sensory neuron, an interneuron, and third is the efferent or the motor neuron, which takes the motor response towards the effector organ. Okay, so now the other type of cells which are present in the nervous system are the neuroglial cells. As we discussed, there are two types of cells. One is the neuron and other is the neuroglial cells. These neuroglial cells, they are more abundant as compared to the neuron. They are 90% of the cells in the nervous system. They are the neuroglial cells. Since they are the non-excitable cells, they do not generate electrical signal unlike neurons. They are smaller in size, they are able to multiply, and they can regenerate. They support the neurons both physically and metabolically. They serve as a connective tissue of the nervous system. They interact extensively both structurally and functionally with the neurons. Now they maintain the proper ionic composition in the extracellular fluid around the neurons for the normal functioning of the neuron. Okay, so they maintain the ionic composition of the neurons. So they are very important there are about 4 types of neuroglial cells in the central nervous system and 2 types of neuroglial cells are present in the peripheral nervous system. Let's discuss the neuroglial cells in the central nervous system. There are 4 types. The first one is the astrocytes. Now astrocytes, they are star-shaped cells and you can see here these are the astrocytes. So since I told you that they are supporting the neurons, so the main function that it acts as a glue which support and hold the neurons together in proper place. Okay, so it acts as a glue, the astrocytes, and it supports and hold the neurons. It helps in the formation of blood-brain barrier. Now this is actually the blood. This is brain tissue, this in blue color, and this blood-brain barrier, actually everything in the blood does not goes in the brain. There is a barrier which is known as a blood-brain barrier. So this barrier is formed by the tight junction in the capillary wall, and also this is supported by the astrocytes. You can see that astrocytes, the food processes of the astrocytes, they are forming a barrier which does not allow everything from the blood to enter into the brain tissue, so to protect the brain. So it is helping in the formation of blood-brain barrier. This you will do further in detail when you will studying the blood-brain barrier. It also helps in guiding the neurons to their final destination during fetal brain development. It transfers the nutrients from the blood to the neurons. One very important, I told you that it maintains the composition of the ECF around the neurons. So what they do, they take up the excess potassium from the brain ECF and helps in maintaining the normal potassium concentration around the neurons for normal neural excitability. Because potassium level is very important. The ECF potassium is very important for the neuronal excitability, as we have discussed in before. So they take up excess potassium and keep the normal potassium concentration around the neurons. Next, it also forms a neural scars and help in the repair of different brain injuries. They take up and degrade locally released neurotransmitters, so halting their actions. So these are the few very important functions of astrocytes, out of which the support is the function of every type of neuroglial cells. But here the blood-brain barrier and this maintenance of potassium concentration, these two are very important functions of the astrocytes. The next cell, neuroglial cells, which is present in the central nervous system is microglia. This microglia or microglial cells, they are actually the immune cells of the nervous system. They are the fixed tissue macrophages of the central nervous system. They are fixed tissue macrophages, and they during embryonic development, these cells, they migrate towards the CNS and they remain over there and they become the fixed tissue macrophages of the nervous tissue. Okay, so they arise from the same stem cells that give rise to monocytes. So they are actually the precursor cells and they actually go to the CNS during the embryonic development. They stay there and their name then becomes microglial cells or microglia, and they are the fixed tissue macrophages of the nervous system. Third type of is the ependymal cell. These are the third type neuroglial cells which are found in the central nervous system. Now these cells, they line the internal cavities of the central nervous system. There are two types of cavities, the ventricles and the central canal in the spinal cord. They are lined by these ependymal cells. Now these are the ependymal cells. They are lining the cavities. So what they are contributing in these cavities, CSF is present. So they contribute in the formation of CSF. one thing. Second, they are ciliated. You can see the cilia are present. Now, the beating of the cilia helps in the flow of CSF throughout the ventricle. So, this beating of the cilia help in the flow of CSF. They also serve as stem cells and help in the formation of other glial cells. Okay. Four type of cell, neuroglial cell, which are found in the central nervous system are the oligodendrocytes. These oligodendrocytes, they are forming an insulating material, that is the myelin sheath, around the axons which are present in the central nervous system. Please keep in mind that it is forming the myelin sheath around the axons which are present in the central nervous system, means in the brain and spinal cord. Now what happened, that you can see here that these oligodendrocyte, it wrap around the axon in a jelly roll fashion, and it form a patches of myelin which is interrupted by the node of Ranvier. At the node, the action potential can occur in jumping manner, but at the other parts where this myelin sheath is present, it helps in the insulation. So it prevents the leakage of the ions. So electrical current might not leak out. So it increases the speed of nerve conduction, and it also conserves the energy. For the neuroglial cells in the peripheral nervous system, there are two types of neuroglial cells which are present in the peripheral nervous system. This is the Schwann cells, and other is the satellite cells. Now the Schwann cells, they are just like the oligodendrocytes, and they form the myelin sheath of the axons which are present in the peripheral nervous system. Okay, and we have discussed this quite in detail when we did our nerve and muscle physiology. Okay. Second is the satellite cells. They are found in the nerve ganglia. Okay. Now what they are doing in the nerve ganglia. Now what is ganglia? Ganglia is the aggregation of neuronal cell bodies. So all the cell bodies, the collection of neuronal cell body is known as a ganglia. Here the satellite cells, you can see what they are doing. They are supporting the neuronal cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system. Since the ganglia are found outside the nervous system, the collection of neuronal cell bodies outside the nervous system, central nervous system, is known as the ganglia. And the collection of neuronal cell bodies in the nervous system, in the central nervous system, is known as the nuclei. Okay, so the satellite cells, they are found in the nerve ganglia in the peripheral nervous system, and they are there supporting the neuronal cell bodies. Okay, so there are four types of neuroglial cells in the central nervous system and two types in the peripheral nervous system. Now let's do this BCQ. What is the role of Schwann cells in neurotransmission? It provides a thermal insulation of neuronal axons. It limits the speed of action potential. It enhances the speed of action potential. It protects the neuronal soma from trauma. So, what would be the correct answer? It enhances the speed. Why it enhances the speed? Because it provides the insulation, and the ions, they do not leak out. So, it increases the speed of conduction. Does it provide a thermal insulation? It does not provide the thermal insulation. It provides the electrical insulation. It prevents the passage of ions across the membrane. Electric current prevent passage of. Second is the neurons that interpret and receive information and stimulate the motor neurons. Which neurons? Sensory neurons, motor neurons, interneurons, or afferent neurons. Interpretation is the function of interneurons. It receives from afferent neuron, then it gets signal to the motor neurons. So integration or the interpretation or processing is the function of interneurons, and which are present only in the central nervous system. Thank you, students. Thanks for listening. Any queries, you can contact me on my email address.